We got work to do.
Welcome to Highway to Hell, a supernatural podcast. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine.
And this week, we're discussing season 4 as a whole because this is our wrap-up episode. Oh my God, it's done.
Oh my God, it's done.
And Lucifer is out.
Guys, there's something happening.
There's something happening. He's out. And we're so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So this episode, if you're new to listening to our podcast, well, first, why did you choose this episode as your first? That's kind of weird. You're kind of a weirdo. And I encourage you to go back and listen. But we're just going to talk about season 4 as a whole, our thoughts, what happened, because a lot happened in this season. I was kind of writing it all out. I'm like, damn, did that happen?
Yeah.
We went from
I
this
know.
to this.
I was shocked because I was kind of looking through, to pick out my most favorite and least favorite episodes. And I was like, man, that seems like so long ago. I definitely would have thought, like, if you had just talked about some of these episodes, I would have thought it was season 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
totally.
covered a
Especially
lot of ground.
since Dean, I think, his storyline went through a lot of moments.
Yeah.
I think, especially since when we started off, and we'll get into it, but he was dealing with something totally different.
No shit.
When we started off. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of a good place to start, I think. I mean, overall, though, Christine, would you say season 4 is your top out of all the seasons that we've seen so far?
That's what I was going to say. So for season 4 thoughts, obviously this is the best season so far. For me, it was really solid. And I think a testament to that is when I was looking at my most favorite episode and my least favorite episode. After picking my least favorite episode, I was like, what would my second least favorite episode be? And I had a really hard time. I almost really couldn't pick one. I was like, was this one not that great? No, yeah, that was really good. How about this one? No, that was good too.
Yeah.
It
was really tough.
Yeah.
And likewise, I have 3 top favorite episodes of this season. It's just they're all so good for different reasons,
Yeah.
But oh my God. Yeah, I love this season. It's really great, especially because it introduces the concept of angels, which is so exciting.
Right off the bat, I was thinking about that first episode of the season, and it was such a whole new world was opened.
Yes.
It was so great.
Exactly. It was like, oh, you thought you knew? Actually, you don't know shit.
You don't know. Let me tell you what you know.
I was also reading through the official companion for season 4. And in the back, they have all of these different pages for each character, like even for Alistair and how the actor felt about playing Alistair, all that stuff. So what I really liked, though, was Jensen Ackles kind of explains why I think season 4 works so well. He says, well, at first it starts off saying Sam thinks he's the only one who can save the world, that he can somehow use his dark powers for good, and Ackles feels that separated the brothers in season 4. So he says, for the first few seasons, we ran along with that formula of switching roles from season to season. So in season 1, it was Dean driving the horse, trying to get Sam to come along and find Dad and all that. And Sam was a reluctant one. In season 2, we kind of switched. Sam embraced what he was doing and really got curious as to what his destiny was. And that's when we saw Dean pull the reins and become the more reluctant one. Then in season 3, it flip flopped again. But I think in season 4, we were both skippers in different boats altogether.
That's a really good way to put it because it does. And
Yeah.
I like that metaphor. I love metaphors, first of all. But that's a good one because it's like they're still kind of like sailing on the same journey, right? But they're in different boats. And they're both just kind of like shouting
Yes.
over to each other, like, hey, what do you see? Like, what are you doing over there?
But also like, hey, come over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's,
Get into my
yeah.
boat.
Yes. That's really interesting.
I think I really enjoyed that aspect of season 4 because it gives both of them a purpose. You know, like he said, season 1, Sam didn't feel, he felt as an outsider in that world. It was like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Even though we were kind of discovering like what the fuck you can see in the future and stuff like that. Um and then season 2, you know, it was yeah, exactly, it was switched over. But in this season, like, it's both of them who have a purpose in the hunting business, and it's a lot more on a larger grand scale than just it's the family business.
Right.
It's fucking literally angel and demon
Right.
business.
Right. Heaven and hell business,
Right.
universe, like uh, fate of the planet business.
Yes. um I think that gave the show more energy, like more power, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I
More
enjoy the
weight.
small scale stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But because it gives Sam and Dean, I don't know, more consequences, right? And just more consequences for their actions. It's not just this little contained world that they're fighting for. It's like it's planet Earth.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting stuff for sure.
It was definitely more hard hitting.
Hmm. Yeah. And so we kind of already started talking about it, but Dean's storyline was had that kind of switch in the middle. It went from, well, in season 3 at the end, he died and he went to hell. And then at the beginning of season 4, he was brought back to life, literally dragged out of hell. Um and then eventually he found out that he's like the one. He's like
The
Neo,
chosen one.
you know,
Yeah.
and his
He's like Harry
yes,
Potter and Neo rolled into one. Yeah.
he is basically. Um, but I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because Dean has gone through a lot in this season.
Yeah.
He, he was suffering from PTSD in the beginning, especially.
Yeah, through most of the season really until I feel like until Anna showed up and really kind of like helped him sort through some of that.
Yeah, yeah, she was kind of therapeutic for
Yeah.
him, wasn't
Yeah.
she?
Oh, and it just makes me think about the last time he saw her and he was like, "You look fantastic."
Yeah,
She's
that
like,
was really
This isn't
sweet.
a good time."
And she was shortly killed after, I think. I think we're supposed to believe.
Was she I thought she was just taken back to heaven like Cass was.
I
They had
guess she
just
was
like
just taken
kidnapped her.
back, but
They
I
just
just
put her
assumed they
right,
were
they
like,
arrested her.
we're done with you. I don't know.
That was my impression is like she's been arrested and put in heaven jail. I don't really know like what they're doing with her. Maybe they sent her to boot camp too.
Yeah, conversion
Right.
camp. Um, so yeah, Dean, it's funny though, because like there is an interweaving of these plots together because it's only Dean who Cass comes
Yeah.
to at the very beginning.
Hmm.
and and we kind of get the sense from that alone that he is kind of special, right? He was dragged from hell by the angels. Like, why? What was the reason for that? And why is he the special one to be dragged out of hell? But it's the great pumpkin, Sam Winchester, that we kind of get the like furthermore implication that Dean is special. And Cass kind of tests Dean in that moment to see if he can actually follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really know what's going on with that exactly.
No, it's very mysterious. I don't know. At least he came back around.
Yeah. And I don't know, even though Dean is having a hard time getting the angels getting used to the idea of angels because he realizes in this episode that they're dicks,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Um, he's still on their side and he's still kind of working toward, I don't know. Was he actually working toward any sort of purpose in that episode? Or he was kind of over it at that time. He was kind of like, I don't know if hunting is really what I want
Yeah,
to do for the rest
yeah.
of my life.
I think he was feeling that pretty hard. I get it. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
so
questions there.
there is a lot of questions. Um, and of course, we learned shortly after that Dean actually remembers hell, that it wasn't just 4 months that he spent there, it was 40 fucking
That
years.
was devastating. Devastating.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. No wonder poor baby Dean gave in.
Yeah, and he's not just like hanging out in hell, like lounging in a chair, but he's like being
Every day.
tortured
All day.
every day for 30 years until he gives up and then agrees to torture others for another 10
It's
years.
awful.
Mm-hmm. So we also see him kind of develop a drinking problem because of this. It's kind of in the background, but we see him taking swigs out of little what are they
Flasks.
called? You know,
Yeah. He was
flasks.
like real sneaky about his drinking and also not so sneaky. And sometimes he was just kind of reckless. Like, oh, here's a bottle. I'm drinking out of it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad they didn't really go all in and do like a drunk Dean falling on the ground like they did Sam in
Yeah.
season 2.
Yeah. I'm glad too, because this way was more impactful anyway, because they made it obvious that he's drinking to forget. He's drinking because he's troubled. Like, he's a sad drunk.
Mm-hmm. And also like it's more impactful because he's drinking to in order to be
Yeah.
functional,
Yeah.
right? Like he's kind of
It's a
a
coping
functional
mechanism for sure.
alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Like maybe if he weren't drinking, he would be a mess
Yeah.
right now, like on the
Yes.
floor without therapy, without lots of therapy. Um, and it doesn't help that he finds out that he was the one that unlocked the seal by giving in to
Yeah.
torture.
Really doesn't help.
But apparently, I mean, it's kind of interesting because apparently it kind of answers some of our questions, what we find out later, because Cass said to Dean, we were trying so hard to get into hell to get you out, to
Yeah.
stop you. Which was like, okay, so it took them like 4 months to get him out. But now it's kind of like, were they trying that hard?
Or were some of them trying because they thought that's what they were supposed to be doing, and then others were like secretly working against them and making it difficult?
Yeah, like sabotaging them.
Right. Makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm. And then at the moment that, or at least a month, right? If 4 months equals 40 years, at least a month after he had given in, then they were able to get him out. And they still need him, right? Because he's going to fight Lucifer, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, they let him stay there long enough so he would give in.
And it's shitty now that we kind of can guess that plan.
Yeah. And I
He's
wonder,
been used. Dean's been had
he was manipulated for sure.
in the worst kind of way.
I think what's interesting though is that in that episode we find that out. Alistair mentions that they were trying to get John to turn.
Yes.
as that honorable man.
Yes.
So I wonder, were the angels just never like worried about him, about John turning, or did they know that John wasn't the right person, wasn't the one meant to stop the apocalypse, and so wasn't the chosen one, right? Where was John's place in all this?
I was kind of just thinking too, like, I wonder if they were trying to get him to break that seal too, but he just didn't give in because he was there probably longer than Dean, right? I mean, that was confirmed, I think. For as long as he was like dead or in hell, that was way longer than Dean was gone. Um, and he never gave in. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because he's a stubborn ass, you know?
Yeah.
I think I don't know if there's a general consensus about this, but like my opinion is that it's obvious that Dean is the better man. John was a lot of things and he tried really hard and he obviously loved his kids and his family, but he made mistakes and was hard to get close to and didn't really take care of them emotionally. Um, so yeah, I don't know how he was able to hold out that long in hell without, you know, when
Yeah.
Dean gave in, but
And I guess
uh,
another thought is maybe Alistair was just fucking with him. Maybe they weren't actually like torturing John that way or trying to get
maybe.
him to break or anything.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in a different part of hell or something.
Yeah, he wasn't being tested that way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um and that was just to get a rise out of Dean or I don't know.
They were trying really hard with him
Right.
to get him to break that seal.
Cuz
Yeah.
yeah, cuz I know like we're not supposed to trust everything a demon says, but I mean,
Yeah, so that could be
you're
something we're
right.
not supposed to trust.
Dean is totally the more honorable man, so how is that possible? But it's funny because so episode 16 was on the head of a pin when we find out Dean unlocked the seal and he's at the very end. It's so heartbreaking. He's like, you're going to have to find someone else to save the world because I'm not going to fucking do this. I'm not doing this anymore. But they don't really give him time to breathe. Next episode is It's a Terrible Life. And Zachariah basically puts together this elaborate
Ruse.
yeah, simulated environment to
Yeah.
get Dean to realize, no, hey, this is your life. This is what you're meant to do is hunt. Um, so he's kind of like told, just get over it.
Like
You,
immediately. It's like, oh,
yeah,
yeah, is that what you think about it? All right, well, here's the deal.
here's where you're at.
Right.
This is your life
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Mm-hmm. You can't run from it, so just give in.
Right. Um, and it's just shortly after that, of course, when the levee breaks, Cass makes Dean swear to serve God. So Dean is kind of like getting more in tune with, okay, this is my path. I am the chosen one. Although, of course, it's not knowing yet, and where he finds out in Lucifer Rising that it's not that he's going to stop Lilith or stop the apocalypse from coming, but he's going to actually defeat Lucifer. Um, that's his
No
chosen
pressure.
path. Yeah, no big deal or whatever, but that's what you're meant to do actually. So quite a ride for Dean, I think. And I love this season because first season Sam is such a uptight law school student, whiny bitch, like
Hmm.
just all of these things. And you expect him to be like this beacon of light and Dean to be like the bad boy, right? Because that's kind of where they are, but they're complete opposites,
Yeah.
in that and then also from each other because also Sam's storyline in this season is cray cray. Like he
I, I mean, considering the revelation of this last episode, like Sam was fucking used the entire season. Talk about
Not
being
just the
had.
entire season, like
Oh, no, yeah, that's true. Since he
his
was a
entire
baby.
life. His entire life. Oh my God.
God damn
Yes,
it.
exactly.
My life is a lie.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked up. So yeah, he's got a lot to deal with. Um they really need like a traveling therapist. You know what they need is like those new therapy apps or like the texting thing where you can just like
Yes. You could just keep up a text.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not doing so well today.
What they really needed was Pamela Barnes, like with them all the time because
Yes.
she was on it.
Yeah.
She was totally on
She
it.
knew what was up.
Uh-huh. Um, so most of the season is devoted to Sam and um basically because we were as like with Dean, obviously there were like little moments in each episode, but he really only had like 7 episodes that were really focused on developing the storyline for him. Sam, it's like throughout the entire season, right? Where in the beginning we see that Sam's powers have advanced over the 4 months that Dean has been dead. We don't know how, but he's pretty powerful. He can exorcise demons with a wave of his hands, and also while keeping the body intact.
Yeah.
Um, in Metamorphosis, Dean finally finds out about Sam's powers, and I wanted to bring that episode up because Sam really struggles with the fact that he has this thing inside of him, and we don't really know the extent of this darkness inside of him. But of course, now we know he was drinking demon blood this entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's obviously like bringing in that darkness inside of him on purpose and knowingly. Um, and in this episode, he's just fighting with Dean. No, this man can be saved. And he doesn't have to turn into a monster. He can do the right thing. And now we kind of know why, I think, why he was so like set on making that case with him.
Yeah, it's definitely a reflection of himself, and he wants to know that he can be okay.
Mm-hmm. Um, and it's funny because I remember in I Know What You Did Last Summer when we were talking about that episode, we obviously I loved that episode because it showed Sam and Ruby getting down and dirty, which was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And it showed what happened when Dean was under the ground. But it never actually, and we kind of caught onto this, it never actually showed us exactly how Sam learned to advance his powers. So they skipped from him struggling how to do it to like all of a sudden he can do it.
Surprise.
So I don't know if we're supposed to um connect the dots and say, well, Ruby started giving him demon blood right after that and showed him that this was the way to go about it. Because otherwise, he didn't have any sort of like Rocky training montage of like,
Right.
like use your mind, concentrate on this. Right.
Yeah. No, I didn't get that. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of what I ended up assuming. I was like, okay, well, this is the only thing I can think. This is. I'm not sure how else he would have been able to do that. And now we know she's a real snaky ass bitch, so she probably, started that pretty early.
Yeah. I mean, we can, guys, we need some fanfic up in here about that moment. Because what was that moment like where she's
Yeah,
like,
how did she get Sam to do that?
drink this.
He was probably like, oh, what?
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Qua?
Yeah, here, just drink a little bit of my blood. Like how did she get him to do it? So after that, we have that mystery of how Sam is actually advancing his powers. We don't know, the audience doesn't know. Sam is kind of obviously not sure about doing it, but he decides to continue after he realizes that he doesn't want to be like that old magician and Chris Angel is a douchebag. Um, and then sex and violence is really where the two stories collide. Dean saying that, telling Sam that he no longer knows um, that he's the person that he knew before. And Sam belittles Dean's trauma in hell. He's like, you need to fucking get over it because you're a big baby, essentially. Um, I'm the chosen one, and you're not. And that's kind of where this begins. Because later on, that becomes a big thing where Sam is like, no, Dean can't stop whatever this is. I'm the only one who can do it. And that's kind of where that like tugging between like, no, I'm on the right path, no, I'm on the right path starts to begin. And of course, on the head of a pin is where we realize that Sam is drinking Ruby's blood and Sam kills Alistair. So I did want to make a note of that because I thought it was interesting that in season 3, I don't know what you, I want to know what you think, Christine. In season 3, at the very end, Lilith raises her hand against Sam as if she's going to do something to him. And then Sam is totally immune to her.
Yeah. Did she do that on purpose?
I don't know. Maybe, right? I mean,
because there's a plan here.
I yes. And Lilith knows she's
Right.
in on the plan. We find out.
I don't know what else it could be. Nothing else really makes sense. Because, like, even if he had been given at that point, like, some kind of protection against her, she wouldn't have actually wanted to hurt him.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't have. And it actually makes sense because she was the one that kind of that killed the last Ruby's body, right? Or I forgot the details behind that or how she did that, but she was, it was her fault that like Katie Cassidy went away, basically, you know, that body. But I guess it makes sense now knowing, okay, she didn't actually do anything too bad to Ruby to be sent away. Like it was just temporary and Ruby was able to get out pretty quickly.
Which I'm sure was also still part of the plan. She makes it seem like it was really difficult, but I'm sure they were like, here's the door. Oh no, oh, she got out.
Yeah. And then we jump right from that to Sam is having demon blood withdrawal to the point where he's drinking demons in front of Cass and Dean. That was like 4 episodes away from each other. So it's like, what?
Yeah, it ramps up pretty quickly.
It does. Yeah. They could have added like one more mention in one of those in between episodes, like
because then it was like, oh shit, what's happening?
Yeah. And of course, Sam breaks out of Dean and Bobby's. Well, Cass breaks him out of that basement. Dean and Sam fight, and then Sam goes on to kill Lilith. His eyes turn black like a demon, so he's basically becoming a demon, and he unleashes Lucifer. And Ruby says something very interesting, which is it could have only been him at that point. So
yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And I guess like the biggest thing for me is like his eyes turn black like a fucking demon, you know? Like he's totally supernatural in that moment. We also find out angels exist in this episode, of course. And quickly find out that the raising of the witnesses is the first seal to be broken in a long line, 66 seals to be exact, of Lilith trying to work to free Lucifer. The angels are fighting against the demons. It's an all-out war, although it's kind of guerrilla style. It's not really like out in the open. It's not like some epic, you know, battle. It's these like mini cosmic battles, as they call them, right? Which we don't really get to see what those look like.
No, I want to see one. I want to see fucking like angels flying around in space and like shooting lasers. I don't know what this looks like. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think they were keeping track of their budget, I guess. Like, what does that actually look
Yeah, that
like?
sounds like an expensive scene, but
Yeah. Um, Cass has the power to take Dean back in time. We figure out in the beginning, so that's kind of our first clue as to like how powerful these angels actually are. Apart from the fact that like demons are completely terrified of them, but I don't know if we ever kind of like established that. Like Cass has the power to go back in time, which is pretty crazy.
yeah,
Why
it's
don't they
not
do it all the
something.
time?
I don't know.
So we find out, of course, that angels aren't lovely little cherubic beings. Uriel, the specialist, quote unquote, his entire job is smiting entire towns, entire places.
Mhm. Yeah, wiping them off the map.
Um, we find out also that they have some pretty like tough um punishments for their own ranks. So Anna had her grace taken away for disobeying and they made her fall to earth like Lucifer style.
Yeah, which was pretty
Uh
awesome, actually.
yeah.
I just love the whole fallen angel concept.
And it's so weird because on the head of a pin we do see that Uriel had killed the angels who refused to join him in releasing Lucifer. So he was going for this. I don't he was doing the same thing that the higher ups were doing but in his own way. It's hard to know like what everyone knows also. Like what do the angels know of what's going on the demon level? What do the demons know? Like why is the communication so broken? And of course, the very last thing that we do realize with the angels is that um, the high ranking angels, such as himself, such as Zachariah, are not trying to stop the final seal from being broken, but they have secretly been manipulating events to start the apocalypse because they believe that it will cleanse the earth and bring paradise. Yeah, some like really heavy manipulative shit.
It's very like Thanos. I don't know, man. Like these. It's like an entity has the power to do that, and it's like they think they know what's best by just sort of like cleansing entire
Right.
planets.
Yeah.
Um, but it's kind of a similar fight too, actually, in Avengers because they're fighting for humanity and everything, like life and that
Hmm.
not happening. And it's like, no, there's a lot of good in the world. It's not what you think. Like this isn't the solution.
Yeah, because you're destroying like the good as well as the bad.
Yeah. And in this scenario, in Supernatural, what would take the place of like humanity as it is right now is paradise. And it sounds like everyone who is left who is in paradise, um, they're not the same. I think Dean called it like Stepford wives, like a Stepford thing.
Yeah,
So
because
that's what
who?
life would be like now. It's like, okay, that's not real. I was thinking the rapture. It's like it's a different kind of rapture. It's not what you expected, guys. Sorry, it's happening this way.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about with season 4 is just that we kind of closed the door on Azazel's story. Surprisingly, we got mention of Azazel pretty early on in season 4 in within the beginning. And we find out that Mary Winchester, before she was a Winchester, really, had made a desperate deal with Azazel that resulted in his appearance the night she died. Dean also finds out that Azazel had fed Sam his blood that night as a part of a plan that Azazel hints is even bigger than previously thought. And although Dean failed to kill Azazel back in time, Cass returns him and says there's no use because that all of that was meant to happen. Castiel and the angels only wanted Dean to find out what Azazel was up for himself. And Cassio kind of connects it to the dark path that Sam is going on. So I don't know. I kind of think that this kind of influenced Dean, and I think maybe we forgot about it in thinking like, no, whatever Sam is doing, it's bad, because he saw it had to do with something with this with Azazel, right? Like, I mean, obviously because of his powers and everything, but this can't be good if it came from a demon like Azazel. And then in Lucifer Rising, we actually see that in 1972, Azazel communicated with Lucifer, who tells him how to open the cage, and that's using Lilith and a very special child. Child, not children.
Right?
Child.
They just tried to throw us off the scent for 3 seasons.
Yeah, with all these extra children, I guess.
All these extra children. Yeah, I think when we were talking about like the end of Azazel's story and like this whole, what all of this means, that was kind of the most glaring thing that wasn't able to be wrapped up, that didn't fit with everything. It was like, well, because I know that when the show was started and they started that kind of storyline, they didn't know where they were going with it. So I think that the way that they have wrapped it up and what they ended up doing with it was probably the best that you could do. And that was maybe just, there had to be something about that storyline that was sacrificed to fit with an ending for it, or a meaning. And that was just something that didn't fit. And they had to let it go.
Also, what didn't fit is the fact that Sam, when he was first getting his powers, could see into the future and could move things with his mind. Mm-hmm. He had these like very specific powers that we did not see. Even though he was drinking plenty of demon blood and building his powers, we didn't see any of that this season. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like those are not his powers anymore. And I think this works better because it has a more specific use, right? Actually fighting demons, exercising them. But what happened to those other powers? If he's actually like working up his energy, or his strength, or whatever, what happened to them? You know?
We haven't seen them at all.
I think it just didn't fit. It didn't fit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I also understand, like I said, like, I guess it was only so much of that story that they had created that could like fit into something that made sense.
Yeah, they were like, in the beginning, this is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, we'll just do
we'll
this.
Just see where this goes. And then at the end of season 1, they were like, God damn it. What do we do with this fucking thing?
Okay, so we asked you guys to write in with your thoughts on season 4, and you guys pulled through.
Thank you.
I'm going to read all of these responses are really great, and I'm going to read a few of them. The first individual says, there were so many things on my first watch that surprised me, but most surprising was probably the end when Sam is responsible for raising Lucifer. Probably my favorite season as a whole. I love all the character growth, the development of the overarching mythology in the Apocalypse storyline. It's also good, and it holds up so well even a decade later. For sure. Yeah. This is still a fun season to rewatch.
Yeah. I mean, as someone experiencing it for the first time, I would say it holds up really well, just in like, what's even still considered good now. Like, there were some episodes and some seasons that were kind of more like socially problematic or something like that. But this really kind of just focused on the story and the characters and was really just really solid. And I'll talk about, whenever we talk about like our favorite and least favorite episodes, like the only thing out of the entire season that I felt like I had an issue with will be in that conversation. But for the most part, it was just like, if this season were still on TV right now for the first time, it would be good.
It would be good. Yeah, definitely. Um, so this other person says the most startling thing was Sam and the demon blood. This season spent a lot of time revealing the boys' characters and past, knowledge of their strengths and weaknesses leading up to season 5 and the apocalypse. So I know that we always talk about character development with the guys, right? But I feel like this season we got so much more out of them. You know, it really, I don't know, it just, and that's why I love the show, I think. And that's why, like, I think I'm doing this podcast because they keep on building up the character. They don't stop, you know?
Which is pretty real too, right? I mean, people don't stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're constantly changing. I'm
Hmm.
not the same person I was 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And there are parts of you, that always stay the same, but or that are like your truth,
Hmm.
but you change with like every phase of your life, every
Yeah.
new situation.
And your perspective on life changes as well.
Yeah.
Um, So after multiple rewatches, it's unexpectedly become my favorite season, even though the brothers are at odds throughout. And even now, looking through the episode list, I had a hard time choosing my least favorite episode because I like all of them. Biggest wham moments, Castiel's introduction, Angels Are Real question mark, and the reveal in episode 3 that Mary was a hunter.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of a lengthy one, but some good stuff in here. This person says, on my first watch, I was surprised how much I liked Ruby and her storyline this season, as I had never particularly liked her in season 3. I always thought she was too mean to the Winchesters while trying to gain their trust. She is a demon and should be mean and self serving, but she has to be somewhat amiable or reliable. I think the relationship between Ruby and Sam only worked and was believable because Ruby had a different face and a slight attitude adjustment coming with it. What I think was well done throughout the season was a slow realization that not only hell, but heaven as well were working against the boys. And then the manipulation started back with Mary and John. The mirroring between Sam and Dean, ending with both of them unknowingly breaking a seal. Well, that's true. Ooh, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
Nope. Damn it.
Damn. Yeah, Dean broke the first seal and Sam broke the last one. Shit.
Fuck. God.
That is so interesting. Thank you, person, for giving
Yeah.
us that realization. Sam's desire to make something good out of his tainted blood, Dean's horror and regret because of the torture in hell, Castiel's developing doubts spurred on by seeing Anna, and even more. I adore season 4 because it has amazing overarching storylines that also connect well with each other, and a ton of episodes that I enjoy rewatching as standalone episodes because they're plain fun or awesome character pieces. Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to go back and see like which season do you like rewatch the most because it's just fun. Like not just the entire season, but just like you pick out episodes from, you know? Because like surprisingly, Buffy season 4 has the worst bad guy. But I rewatch season 4 episodes the most because they're the most fun to rewatch. You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, here's another lengthy one. I've probably seen the first 5 seasons 5 to 6 times, but I'm always in tears at the end of season 4, episode 10. Also gained a new appreciation for lore heavy episodes like On the Head of a Pin or Lucifer Rising. The show really hit its stride this season. I highly recommend going back and rewatching seasons 3 and 4 after season 5 for the most impact, just to see how Ruby's betrayal changes how you interpret her. It's so great that the actresses knew from the start because you can see it in their performances the whole time. Also, personally, I think Ruby encouraged Sam to listen to Dean's voicemail because she knew Sam well enough to know that if she said, forget him, he's wrong and weak, Sam would get defensive on Dean's behalf, even though Sam said the same things because he feels hurt by Dean, but he doesn't hate him. I read it as her trying to place herself on Sam's team above all. You can see it earlier in the
Mm.
season as well, where she tries to low key win Dean over or comfort Sam when the brothers disagree.
Yeah. Totally.
Totally. And she says, love you too, at Super
Love you too.
Kershaw. Yes, thank you for that. That's a good point.
Good insight.
So this is the last one I'll read, and it's a long one also, but interesting stuff as well. Upon rewatch, I must confess that it was almost 2 years ago, just before season 13 started, when I rewatched season 4 for the first time since its airing. That's almost 9 years. I had forgotten some important stuff, and then she puts in asterisks facepalm. So, upon rewatch, I was surprised how little there was of Castiel in season 4, and how quickly and early on in the season, Cass and Dean started to bond. I agree. I was surprised by that. I felt like season 4, we have Cass now. He's a new character, and he's in and out, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They continue to say they were sharing personal stuff already in episode 10. It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester. I'm sorry, episode 6. And they must have met or have discussions off screen in the season that we did not get to see. I will state that during the airing of season 3 and 4, I preferred Katie Cassidy's Ruby, but 10 years later in counting, I vastly preferred Genevieve's performance as Ruby. Cassidy's Ruby is just too adolescent and snarky. Genevieve's Ruby is more nuanced femme fatale. Agreed. Yeah. She goes on to say that one of her favorite episodes is the monster at the end of this book because she loves the meta aspect of SPN.
It was so good.
It was really great. And she says it was actually TWOP, aka Forms of Television Without Pity, that they borrowed some stuff for that episode. Do you remember Television Without Pity?
No, what is that?
It was a forum back in the day, and it was just different. I think you can actually find the archives of it, but I learned about it through actually the Gilmore Guys. So when they would talk about Gilmore Girls, they would go back to Television Without Pity and talk about like what the people were saying at the time that this stuff was
interesting.
Yeah, was airing. So it was basically like a forum where you can just voice all your opinions about the TV shows that you were actually watching. And so she says TWOP was infamous of its harsh criticism and episode recaps. Simpatico, username shown in the episode, was one of the regular commentators in TWOP at the time.
So they were probably one of the ones that he like.
Yeah, well, and Dean actually says, Simpatico says,
oh yeah,
this and this and this.
That's what it was.
So that's crazy that he's actually like, they're actually calling out that one person.
That's
like
awesome.
I know.
I love that.
And she concludes, and I really love this. She says, to sum season 4 up, seasons 1 to 3 are the prologue, and this is where the story really begins.
Yeah, that's how it feels to me as well. And in seasons 1 through 3, we had some individual episodes that were really good. I can pick those out, and I love those episodes. But now it feels like, okay, we're starting the story.
Yes. And I really felt it, especially on this watch. I think maybe because I kept on saying like just wait till we get to season 3. But when season 3 came around, I was like, oh well, it's kind of still slow going. Mm-hmm. It's still building up, Yeah. You guys also voted on your favorite song of the season. Out of all of them, A Well-Respected Man by the Kinks was the most. Yeah, it's a good song. It's a great song. I agree.
It's the best song.
It was pretty great.
That was my pick too. And also I just had to give another nod to When the Levee Breaks because they didn't play the song, but the episode was titled after it. Y'all, the only reason they didn't play that song is because they couldn't get the rights. It's fucking good. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it because now you'll know why they wanted to reference it.
Good to know.
I feel very strongly about it. So that's my favorite song that wasn't played.
Well, my favorite song that wasn't played, I played it for you, fucking Sex and Violence. So
yeah. Thanks for that one too.
So favorite monster of the week in season 4, a lot of people said the siren in Sex and Violence. I agree. It was a good one.
It was so good. That was a cool concept. When we were talking about the
Uh-huh.
episode, I was like, oh man, I love this idea. Um, and I love the actor, the guy who plays Hoyt. It was just,
Yes.
and such a good twist at the end where he's like, you really should, like,
Like not drink out of people's flasks or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
What? 'Cause I totally thought it was the lady. Even though I've seen that episode like 3 times at least, I was like, oh, it's her, right? It's the doctor.
They got you.
They got me again. I told you I'm very gullible.
I am too. It's okay. I have to work hard at not being gullible.
um so for favorite quote of the season, there's quite a bit. I think the top ones are first, you built a panic room, and Bobby, I had a weekend off. Oh, Bobby, you're so fucking cool, man.
Stop it.
And this one, which is pretty fucking good. I'm the one that gripped you tight and raised you from perdition.
Yep. That is
Come
a good
on.
one.
Come on. That is the best introduction to Cass you could have given us.
Yeah.
It's just so good. It's just like it could have come from also like a wild western movie or
Yeah.
something like that.
It
Like
sounds
it's
really
just
badass.
yeah.
Did you have a favorite quote? I wanted to look some up, and there were some I thought of off the top of my head, but I didn't get to like decide.
I forget everything. Um so I couldn't really remember, but I would, after reading these, I would say it's that one. I would say I'm the one that gripped you tight and raised you from perdition, because it's just so good. It's so great. Well, no, just kidding. Hello.
I'm awesome.
You know my favorite quote.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. Yeah, like just the way she delivers it and everything. I love it
That was
so
really
much.
good.
I'm gonna definitely take that clip and insert it into the rest of our 15 seasons that we have to watch, like whenever.
Yes. Yeah,
What about you?
I end up always liking like the funny ones.
Yeah,
Like
there's some pretty good
yeah,
ones.
like stuff from Monster Movie and stuff like that. And all I could think of too was and it wasn't even the right season, but I think my favorite quote overall from like everything has been like, these tacos taste funny to you?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Just knowing
It's so
that
funny
he's like immediately dead.
no, yeah. And it's so funny because that scene goes by so quickly, that particular one,
Yeah.
that I don't think I ever really like noticed it before, because it's so quick. It's such a quick death.
Yeah.
Taco death.
Death by tacos. Oh,
Yes.
shit.
So just to give you some final counts really quickly, Son of a Bitches, we're at 44 Son of a Bitches from Dean.
Wow. It's pretty SOB
I
heavy
know.
season.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is that total?
And that's total.
Okay, I was like,
that's
Jesus,
total
when
for
did
all
that
4
happen?
seasons. I know. I know.
Okay, I get it.
And I did. I should have. I didn't get like the exact number in this
That's
season.
fine.
Sam crying. So total number 37 times.
Aww.
26 Missy, 11 crying.
Wow.
Poor baby. Dean crying 21 times.
Oh.
And most interestedly, 10 Missy and 11 crying. So he's cried, like tears coming out of his eyes, exactly the same amount as Sam.
Doesn't that kind of make sense though? Like it's always the emotionally constipated person who's like, when they start crying, it's like actual tears. It's not just like misty eyes. Because they're just holding so much back. Once you open the floodgates,
Yeah, there's like no crying, no misty eyes or anything.
And suddenly it's sobbing.
Until it's like sobs. Yes.
Yep.
So that's awesome. So what was your favorite episode of the season?
My favorite episode
Christine?
Was actually Lucifer Rising. I weighed a lot of them, right? Because there were so many good episodes. But that one for me hit all the right notes. It hit the
Yeah.
directing note, I still couldn't get over it. It was a beautiful episode. Shot really, really well, acted really well. It was very much like movie like, and they packed a lot in. We got some huge reveals. Everything that happened was really great. There were some really great references. I love that they had that spot on reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is one of my all time favorite movies. And
Yeah.
and the acting was so good. Just the characters too, like the final developments in that storyline of like where Dean ended up and Sam and Ruby and what happened with all of these central characters and Cass. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there was just so much that happened. So we tend to kind of rank based on importance. So not only was it incredibly important, but it was also very enjoyable. They didn't just like pack a lot in story wise, and then the rest was just like, okay. Like some of them are.
Yeah, like season 2, season finale,
Right.
where it's just like
Right. Because we were like, well, it was really important, but I didn't really like it.
the way they did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was still really enjoyable. Um, and yeah, the ones I had after that were like my picks after that were all of the kind of more funny or lighthearted ones that were still done really well, like Monster at the End of This Book and It's a Terrible Life,
Mm-hmm.
and Monster Movie. I
Yeah.
loved all of those.
Yeah, I had some trouble picking as well. I said Lucifer Rising for the exact reasons that you had mentioned. That ending itself is just alone is just so awesome. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's exciting. I literally had goosebumps. And it just gets me pumped for season 5. Like it just makes me want to watch season 5 already,
Okay,
and
let's
see what
do this.
happens. Yeah. I know we're gonna have to watch pretty quickly just to,
Get through it
yeah,
because we want
get the
to. Yeah.
suspense over. But I also really love the rapture. I really enjoy
Mm-hmm.
watching it every time. That moment where Jimmy is sitting at the table after coming back, and I think, God, I hate that I'm forgetting this, but I think his daughter's name is Claire or
Mm-hmm.
Abigail. Claire.
Claire.
I made up Abigail. Um when she goes, "Aren't we gonna pray, Daddy?" And Jimmy holds back tears and says, "I don't think we are, honey." Like that gets me every time. It hurts. Like it's just so impactful, and it just really shows everything that Jimmy has been through in being in with Cass in his body.
Mhm.
I thought it was really interesting to see like behind who this vessel is, because we see it all the time. We see these people being taken over by demons mostly, right? But we don't actually get to know like anything about the actual person behind it, and to just remember that this person had a life and they had family and they're being taken away from that. It's nice to, I mean, it's not nice, it's sad, but it's nice that the writers remembered that and paid attention to it.
Yeah. And it really, I guess, kind of like gives you permission to move forward with like some comfort knowing that at this point, like Cass is using this body with his permission, knowing what that really means now.
Yeah. And of course, I just like after that would have to add in Monster at the end of this book, because as I had mentioned, like I think in our very first episode that we recorded, the why you should watch Supernatural episode, I think I mentioned like Supernatural is going to get really, really meta.
Yeah, I think you
And
did too. It was like right off the bat.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why it's so fucking awesome. And this is that coming, and there's more to come, trust me. But it's yeah, it's so fun. It's
Everybody
already
loves the
great.
breaking of the fourth wall.
Yeah, it's
It's fun.
great.
Hmm.
The listeners, you guys voted. Tied at 22.2% is Lazarus Rising and On the Head of a Pin.
Interesting.
Yeah. After that is the monster at the end of this book. And then right after that is Monster Movie, which doesn't have many votes, but it is
It was so
a little bit more than
good.
the rest of them. Yeah, no, it is really good. So what about your least favorite episode? I feel like I already know this.
Yellow fever. You knew that, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I was saying earlier that I was going to talk about like why there was like only one bit of the season that was like problematic for me, and it was that and I talked about it at the time like when we went over that episode. I do not think that they handled mental illness well, or learning differences.
Yeah.
And it was painful to watch. It really hurt me. So it's funny because I actually hate that episode. I really like actually hate it. And it's such a stark difference between how between that and how I feel about every other episode in the season. Because
Yeah.
then I was looking for my second least favorite episode, and I was like, yeah, no, none of them are even close to being that awful for me.
That is it's so funny because I like I mean I picked another episode
Mm.
overall
Mm-hmm.
that I'm more interested in re-ranking, but I put as like a side note, like I don't think Yellow Fever belongs where it is. I think it should be a little bit higher. But I think it's like I was so outraged as well with those things. But it's funny because when I do remember the episode, I remember all the good parts of it rather than the
Interesting. I
bad.
don't. I wish that were me, because
Yeah.
I definitely just think about the bad parts, and it like actually makes me sad. It like really kind of hurts me because
No,
I just
yeah.
see like you know how empathetic I am. I already have a problem with my feelings and like crying and everything.
Well, you're a
Um,
Pisces moon, so it's
as we recently
understandable.
discovered,
Right.
now you know why. Um, and so when I think about that episode, I think of it was Luther, right? Was his name, and it's just this
Uh-huh.
big misunderstood, sweet, like good-hearted person who is misunderstood and mistreated,
Yeah.
and that pains me.
Yeah.
So that's all I end up remembering.
Yes, because the writers didn't even pay any tribute to him or like do any
No,
justice
yeah,
for him, like it could have been different. It could have gone differently for sure.
yeah, yeah, and it would have made it better for me. So unfortunately, like every time I just think about that episode, I just see Luther looking sad, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. What they did to him. I know. It's
Yes.
terrible. It's terrible.
So, yeah.
My least favorite episode, I don't have quite as much hate for it as you do for Yellow Fever, but it's just I don't know. I just find it kind of whatever. And
Okay.
that's where we're at with this season, I think.
Yeah.
It's a great season, but Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester.
Mm.
It's just it's I don't know. I have no feelings for it, even though it does turn out to be a very important episode because it's the first the second seal, as we know later on, the
Mhm.
second seal that's breaking. Um I just it was really like whatever for me, and it could have been done better, I think, because what's happening is big fucking deal, like a big fucking deal, like people from Sam and Dean's past who have died, who they couldn't save, were being brought back to life, or not brought back to life, but haunting Sam and
Yeah.
Dean.
Hmm.
And that's got to be tough on them. It's
Yeah, but I kind of see
obviously
what you're saying. I mean, out of everything, it wasn't very impactful. I don't really remember it when I think about it.
no,
It just kind
I
of
don't
gets
remember it
lost in the
either.
shuffle.
I don't know. I don't have that good of a reason to vote it down. Just that it's like I don't really care. I don't, I don't really
Yeah,
care too much
that's a
about
good
it.
reason. Yeah.
Eh. I was actually really surprised by the listeners' top pick.
Ooh, what was it?
So 27.8% said Chris Angel is a douchebag.
Really?
Yeah, but I actually really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I didn't love it, but when I think about it, it makes me laugh because it was
Yeah.
it was funny. It was just like a fun episode. It was just kind of fluffy or whatever, and there were some clever things they did with it.
And the second one, I can kind of see its family remains.
Mm.
So there you go.
Hmm.
But yeah, Chris Angel's a douchebag. Guys, why do you hate it so much? Is it just like we don't want to see old guys or something, you know?
Who are these old farts?
Yeah.
That's
Um
ageism, guys.
yeah,
Hate to
guys, you're
break it
messed
to
up.
you.
Um Another question we asked, and I didn't include this one with you and me, Christine, because I think we both know our answer. Do you prefer Ruby number 1 or Ruby number 2? Um So the choices were Katie Cassidy had it going, or no way, Genevieve Padalecki is awesome. So 83.3% voted for Genevieve, and
Mhm.
16.7% said Katie Cassidy.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So overwhelming Genevieve fans.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we're at too.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure.
But I did ask you this question. What is your favorite ship of the season? And the main choices were Sam and Ruby, Dean and Anna, and Pamela and Sam's ass, at least for our listeners. But
I
also,
love the clip you chose for that. I looked at there's like a little picture that goes with each ship. And the one that Kristen put with the question or like with the option for Pamela and Sam's ass. It's Pamela going, you could bounce a nickel off that thing.
yeah,
It's so good.
it's really great. It's
It is a
true.
really nice ass.
It is. Yeah, it's a nice
Sorry,
everything,
Jared. You have
really.
a
I mean,
nice
let's get real.
Sorry, not sorry.
Also, this is we've reached peak Kristen drooling over Sam. I promise you guys.
He was real pretty this season.
It's not that it's downhill from here. It's just like it was just like this season. So things will get better. I'll stop. What's the word?
Lusting.
Lusting so heavily.
Yeah, that's fair. I might not. No promises. I don't know. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
My pick was definitely Dean and Anna. I love them. I think Anna is good for Dean. I knew that person was in there somewhere. We needed to see Dean's softer side, and she brought it out of him, and he really connected with her, and I loved it.
It was sweet. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more after she got her grace back to see what she remembered of that encounter, how she felt about it, as a powerful angel now.
Right.
If getting her grace back changed her feelings in any sort of way or made her less human, that's a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I want to see that too. I hope not. I hope she still likes Dean and they've got like a thing. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think we all know my favorite ship of the season is Sam and Ruby. I know Ruby's bad. I know she manipulated him. It's hot.
I get
it's
that.
great.
Yeah, I totally get that.
It was just also just exciting, even if it was bad. It's like, oof.
That's
I love
really.
that it's bad. Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was really interesting because reading the official companion again, it says good or bad, Ruby definitely seemed to have fallen in love with Sam by the end of the season. Cortez agrees. Yeah, along the way she fell in love, but I don't know if it's true love or if it's just that Sam is going to help her reach her goal and she loves him for what he can do for her It's almost like hero worship. She's in love with what he can do. I think there's a part of her that's in love with him, but her ultimate goal is to set Lucifer free. And I think demons are always self serving in that way. I
Interesting.
thought
That
that
is
was
very
really
interesting because I
interesting.
had so many questions about that too. Like it really seemed like there were moments before her betrayal where, like earlier in the season where I really felt like they had a connection and there was something there and they were going to like fall for each other. Um and so then when the end came around, I was like, so what was all that? Was it just an act? Was
Yeah.
there any part of it that was real and you still like cared about him, or cuz you sure acted like you did. And even at the end she still kind of acted like she did, like when she was explaining to him, like basically she had told Sam what happened, but then she was like holding his face and like talking to him like really sweetly, like
Yes.
kind of trying to like get him on her side or something. It was very strange.
Yeah, she's like caressing him in that moment
Yeah,
and just telling him it's okay, it's all going to be okay. We can basically like we can still be together. This is
that's how it
it,
felt.
it's just it did feel that way. And it kind of did feel like maybe in a more reciprocating way, but like kind of a Bellatrix Lestrange love for, Voldemort,
Mm,
in that she
hero worship.
respects what yeah, exactly. She respects what he can do. She respects his powers, and she's just like kind of obsessed with him
Mhm.
in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of people agreed apparently because 44.4% say Sam and Ruby.
Nice.
Um and then tied at 27.8% are Dean and Anna and Pamela and Sam Sass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, the ranking um overall, this so season 4, our top 5 in season 4 were Lucifer Rising, Lazarus Rising, The Monster at the End of This Book, The Rapture, and Heaven and Hell. And that feels good,
Yeah,
I
I feel
think.
good about that.
Yeah. Our bottom 3, from the bottom to the top of that, the last one is Family Remains. And overall, that's at number 61 out of like, shit, I forgot, like 81, I think.
Wow.
So it's pretty low down there.
Yeah.
We really did not like it.
No.
um, so of course, I brought you EW's ranking, which I thought it wasn't quite as like cray as season 3 was, where it was like, what the fuck? You liked what episode better than that episode?
Yeah.
Um, but it was still kind of surprising. So, like on our list, Lucifer Rising was the top. And well, okay, so it's funny because for both of the lists, our list and EW's, Lucifer Rising, Lazarus Rising, and The Monster at the End of This Book are at the top, but they had a different order. So they had Lazarus Rising at the very top of their list for season 4. And not just that, but out of all of the episodes that they've ranked, they have Lazarus Rising as number 4 out of
What?
264 episodes.
What?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. So
That's
pretty,
bold.
yeah, I know. Um, and then the monster at the end of this book at number 5 out of
Overall?
260
What the fuck?
overall.
Really? That's so
And
interesting.
then, yeah, and then Lucifer Rising at number 8 overall. So very, very interesting.
Huh.
Besides that, there was something else that kind of surprised me. It might have been that Yellow Fever is number 10 out of all of them
What, all of them in the season or overall?
in the season,
Wow.
I should say.
Still.
Yeah, but yeah, at number 82 overall.
Ooh, what? Okay,
Yeah.
whatever, y'all. Disagree.
Also, that the Rapture is all the way at number 143 out of all of the
They have that
episodes,
lower
which
than
is
yellow fever.
they had it lower than yellow
I would
fever
like to
and
speak with your
lower than
manager.
yeah, who put together this list? And lower than Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester as well. But their top, or I'm sorry, their bottom three were Family Remains. So the same as ours. That was actually at number 250 out of
Ooh.
264 episodes.
Wow,
So
they
that's
were really harsh
bad.
about that one.
Yeah, they were. Wishful Thinking.
Huh, okay. Yeah.
Which it's not too far from our list. But yeah. And then Chris Angel is a douchebag.
Weird. Everybody really
Yeah.
hated that episode.
I know.
I didn't hate
know.
it that much.
I didn't hate it either. Did you pick an episode to re-rank, or did you feel good about it all?
I have looked at this like 3 different times, and I think I feel good about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty darn good about it. Like, there are some where it's kind of like, oh, I don't know. And then I start looking for a better place for it, and I'm like, no, I still feel that's about where it needs to go. So I don't think I have anything at the moment, which is surprising to me.
I don't know. Again, it may just be because I just don't like this episode. But overall on our list, Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester is at number 31. It's below Metamorphosis, above The Magnificent Seven. Okay. And
remind me what happens in that again, the overall thing.
The overall thing is these ghosts of past victims who Sam and Dean couldn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it turns out that they're the raising of the witnesses. It's a seal.
Yeah. So here's my thought on that. I'm looking at it, right? It's between Metamorphosis and the Magnificent Seven. We also really didn't like the Magnificent Seven that much. I'm kind of feeling like, but then look above or below that is like Home and Devil's Trap and A Very Supernatural Christmas. And we like those.
Those are great. I agree. Like, why the fuck is Magnificent Seven still there?
You want to move
like, because
that and Are You There, God? Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
To lower. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So what
the fuck are we thinking?
I know. What I was thinking was originally moving Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester underneath Houses of the Holy, which is number 40. Mm-hmm. But I wonder moving both of them underneath that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I like that. Because I like Houses of the Holy. I was just thinking about it the other day, actually.
It was a really great episode.
It was.
So we have officially moved. Shit, I lost it. We have officially moved Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean Winchester to number 39 and The Magnificent Seven to number 40. Mm-hmm. So
cool.
We're closing the trunk for now, but it may be reopened as we try to figure out a better way to do this.
Might reorganize the trunk.
So, very last thing that we need to do in this wrap-up episode is talk about Christine's prophecies. Of course, you know by now she has never seen Supernatural ever, and she's been making crazy guesses, great guesses to about what's going to happen. So for season 4, we kind of already had seen whether some of them came true or not and talked about it. But originally she had said regarding Sam's powers, he could potentially use his powers to get Dean out of hell. That did not happen. But I think everybody was expecting that to happen. Like, I was reading the official companion and Jared Padalecki was like, I thought this was going to happen, you know? We'll see Ruby again. She may come back in a different body. Yes, you were right on it.
Nice.
Okay, this one we weren't able to answer before. So Lilith has power over Ruby, so she's trying to get Sam to kill her in order to get rid of that power over her.
It was like half true.
It's like half true, you're right.
I mean, she does have power over Ruby, but they were in cahoots together. That's the only difference.
It'll round itself out in just a second, Ben. Okay, so that one was Dean makes a friend or aligns with another creature in hell. Maybe Dean will meet Satan, you thought, and that when Lilith cast Ruby out, did she cast in hell? Dean will meet Ruby. So you weren't. So I think we gave you the half point because actually, he did make an alliance with another creature, but they weren't in hell.
Yeah.
It was the angel. I'll give it to you.
Thanks.
All right, I already did.
Pretty close.
Some special people who can see him in his true form. So we were talking about the angels and Castiel. Sam is one of those special people, which we found out was not true. In one of the episodes, Dean mentioned that he was using fear.
I thought there was like a comment that he said that was like about the fear of God. And so I was hypothesizing that like he actually had like God behind him to be able to use that. It didn't end up being correct. But I think that's what I meant with that.
Okay, and then here are the ones that we haven't actually touched at all. So Sam and Dean are being pitted against each other, and heaven is in on that. Oh my God, Christine, you said that. You were so on it.
You said that. You're so smart.
Look at you. The next one, we may have to wait until next season because it says Dean is going to stop the apocalypse. We technically haven't seen that happen yet. So I think we'll carry it on.
Okay.
Unless you feel differently.
No,
unless you feel like,
it's not.
No,
it hasn't come to an end yet.
Dean is not going to stop the apocalypse and the world is going to end.
Nah, I think he still has a big part to play.
He also says Sam will die, which did not happen.
No, it didn't happen. So I think it's maybe not. I mean, he might die in the future, but in this instance, I think he's. That's no longer like a valid prediction.
And the last one was Cass is just doing the bidding of heaven with letting Sam out, capturing Anna, and he's actually secretly working against Dean. Which, yeah. I don't think that he wanted to, but yeah, he totally was. Right.
And now he's back on Team Dean.
So, I asked if you could think about some stuff that has happened. I wrote down specific ones, but if you had more, obviously that would be awesome. But what do you think is going to happen in season 5?
So, I mean, the only thing I know for sure is like, okay, Lucifer's going to show up. We're going to get some answers. I picture him in a suit.
Lucifer will wear a suit.
That's a good one. And I guess I do, like, touching on the one that I already had about Dean stopping the apocalypse. That's maybe the only thing that I was thinking about that I feel kind of good about, is because I feel like he does have that part to play. And so far, these angels are douchebags. And they've been kind of jerking him around, but there is some truth to what they've said. And so I do think that they think that he's the one.
So I don't know if you had any thoughts about that, or if it's just like that could be literally anything. His mom wiped his butt a certain way, and that's why he's the chosen one.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And we've talked about this a little bit, and I haven't like formed this thought enough to know, like, I don't know, like how to describe it or how to like narrow it down to a prophecy or prediction. But all I know is that they keep repeating it's in their blood. And I don't know what that means. I feel like there's more to that phrase, especially, we've found out that their mom was the hunter. hunting was passed down in their family. I feel like there's got to be some like history there with their ancestors. There's something in their blood that made him special and made it so that he was always going to be this one, but I don't know what that is. So if there's a way for you to vaguely write that, to write that vague
I
statement.
think that's exactly,
Okay.
yes, that's a great prophecy. Um, did you have any thoughts about what Zechariah might have meant by God has left the building?
Man, I don't know. I don't know.
It's kind of hard too because like, well, as you guys know, we went to the convention. We got spoiled on a few things. And we actually talked about our spoilers, the spoilers that we got in our general convention experience on Patreon. So you guys can actually watch that video of us just talking about our experience and what we were spoiled on. But yeah, there were some things that came out of that were like,
Yeah. But right now it's hard because like I don't know if he means God willingly has left the building. If God just doesn't give a fuck and he's like, peace out, y'all. I'm gonna go smoke a
Yeah.
cigarette and do whatever I want.
Right. For
Or
millennia.
if
I'll just
they're,
go
you
smoke a
know,
cigarette.
and I don't know how much of this I can base on like anything that I was spoiled by, but like I also don't know if God has bad intentions. Um and if he does, like where is that coming from?
I think those are all pretty great prophecies to start off season 5.
I mean, it sounds like, there was just some big rock show and the star of the show just left.
Yeah, just didn't show up
Yeah,
for
it's
his
like,
solo.
yeah, or it's like, okay, I played my concert, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Season 5 is going to be lots of fun. We are going to be taking a hiatus, and we will be back with season 5, episode 1, October 7th. During that time, though, of course, we will be continuing our Patreon stuff. So if you guys have not joined Patreon, just to let you know what you can find on there. Of course, we mentioned, we have our convention video, but we have other stuff as well. Every month, we do an extra podcast episode where we talk about some supernatural fandom aspect, and we've kind of been throwing these in, we talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and kind of like relate it to Supernatural. So the one that we're doing for this month, for example, we're looking at the worst episodes of Buffy and Supernatural and comparing them to see which one has the worst episode. So is it bugs or is it beer bad?
It's been fun.
But also we do episode reaction videos. So for example, you can watch our reaction video for the season finale of season 4. And next month, you'll be able to see in September during our hiatus, you'll be able to see our reaction video to season 5, episode 1. So, which is going to be lots of fun. Let's see if I get goosebumps again. But, during that time, if you miss us, you can always catch up with all of the stuff that we put out on Patreon. We have quite a bit of reaction videos now and audio commentaries and other really fun stuff like those extra podcast episodes. So, you can find that on patreon.com/Highway to Hell podcast. And that's a great way to keep up with us, even though you may not be getting a regular episode. If you guys have any thoughts also or any questions for us about how we felt about certain stuff in season 4, or just, I don't know, in general about our favorite ice cream, please feel free to send us an email at highwaytohelppodcast@gmail.com. And I don't know, we may put out a Q&A episode or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be pretty cool. All right. Well, of course, you know where to find us. I just mentioned our email address. Go to our website, howwoulditheldpodcast.com, and look at all of our rankings and all of the stuff that we have up on there. And then follow us, of course, on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Highway to Hell Podcast. So thanks for listening, guys. Until next season, we'll see you on the Highway to Hell.
Bye.
Bye.